Hi, good afternoon. This is Tracee Dunblazier with the COVR Chatcast. COVR is the Coalition of Visionary Resources. We are a trade organization for the mind, body, spirit. And the COVR Chatcast features some of our beloved members of the Coalition of Visionary Resources. So these are people that are part of the mind, body, spirit marketplace. They are authors, product creators, visionaries, jewelers, so many musicians. We have such a broad connection to visionary thinkers. And today we are featuring two of our members, Pia Orleane, she's a PhD, and Cullen Baird Smith. They are winners of the 2023 Gold COVR Visionary Awards for the original Pleiadian Wisdom Oracle Cards deck and the 2023 Pleiadian-Earth Energy Calendar and the Wisdom from the Stars trilogy, and also for two other visionary fiction books. Based on Pleiadian perspectives, their work offers guidance for conscious evolution and spiritual advancement. Just so you know, at the bottom of the page in just a moment, it says it's got their names and larkma.com, where you can reach them for private sessions or to get any of their products. So let me just click on and get them here on the screen for us right quick. There we go. And there we go. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tracee.
Hi, Tracee.
Nice to see you. Now, we were just discussing, it is 10 p.m. where you are in the world right now. So thank you so much for staying awake. I mean, for me, bedtime's 5 o'clock. So I, no matter what you've got going on, I appreciate you staying up for a conversation with us today. So first of all, you guys are award-winning authors. You've been in the industry for quite some time. Tell me what you think people most need to know about getting into the mind, body, spirit marketplace.
I think people need to be authentic. I think they need to speak from their heart, and they have to be perceived as offering something that really touches people where it matters to raise the consciousness. It can't be just a mind platform that's organized of what you're going to do. It really has to come from the heart, and it needs to be authentic and very transparent.
Right.
It also has to do, we think, mainly with service. This category of information, the mind, body, spirit topic or enthusiasm, whatever we want to call it, it's about service, helping others understand that there's multiple realities, multiple understandings, multiple ways of seeing the world or the universe. And I think if we realize that we're really here to share love, light, information, service is really, really important in that understanding.
And to build on what Cullen just shared, which is exactly how I feel too, there's so much competition in marketing and in the marketplace in general. And I think in the new paradigm that we're moving into and higher spiritual awareness, we need to support each other, not compete with each other. We need to say, I've done this to share, and I want to introduce you to my friend who's also done this to share. It needs to be more cooperative and supportive.
And I think probably one of the most important things about the entire platform of the COVR organization is sharing and being cooperative, being collaborative. I think the whole idea about COVR is to get as much wonderful information out to as many people as possible, but doing it, as Pia said, in a spirit of heart, not in a spirit of competition or not in a spirit of my baby's more important than your baby. I think it's all about helping people grow and expand.
Right. I know for me, every time I celebrate any kind of win, whether it was finishing a chapter or getting up at 2 a.m. to write, or, whatever it is, whatever little accomplishment I made, I I am ultra aware of how many other people helped me to get there. You know, one of the things that we were talking about a little earlier is how do you stay inspired doing this work when you are uninspired, you know, or when it's, you know, people have this idea that anybody in the spiritual marketplace, like spiritual has become synonymous for happy and happy-go-lucky and, you know, easygoing. And, you know, as you know, it's not necessarily that way. So, you know, how do you remain inspired, continuing to put out products and sell them and wear all the hats you do?
That is a really, really good question. And I think the first thing I would say is you're absolutely right. There's a tremendous amount of work behind all of these people who are bringing this information, whether it's an author, a visionary, a jeweler, someone who makes spiritually based products. There's an incredible amount of work behind the scenes that we're all involved with. And I can tell you personally, Pia and I have been at this for a very long time. It's a lot of hard work. Publishing, it's not just the writing of the books or the creating of the oracle cards, or in our case, also creating a calendar every year, year after year after year.
Yeah.
It's the design work, it's the brain work, it's all of the work behind what the final product actually will be.
Right. And there are, with publishing, there are thousands of details that, you know, that metadata, that stuff that's behind the scenes, that's the cardinal rule of marketing your product, is to have that accurately in the system.
Absolutely. And to answer your question more thoroughly, what does inspire us? And we can say a number of things on this idea or topic. The work we do with our Pleiadian friends, LARCMA, is absolutely inspiring to us.
On a day-to-day basis, we're inspired by our team members.
We work with these energies every single day, sometimes morning to evening, with things we're doing with them, or personal sessions we're doing, or all kinds of work that our Pleiadian friends help us with. And their sole purpose is to help humanity expand, increase consciousness, and grow. And so that in itself is inspiring, but also from the other end, all of the people we deal with worldwide on a daily basis tell us stories about their lives. They tell us stories about what's going on in their development, in their conscious growth, but also they tell us that the work that we're involved with, bringing this wisdom from the stars, is absolutely changing their lives. And that makes us feel like we're actually accomplishing something.
When you get an email or a phone call from somebody you've worked with in the last day or week, and they tell you that they could just cry from hearing what you're working on now, when they hear the transmission, or that their personal session really opened up a pathway for them that they've been blocked for a long time. When you hear stories like that, which we do often, that is inspiring, because it lets us know that what we're doing is making a difference. And as Cullen said earlier, this work is about service. So if we're being reinforced that we're making a difference, we're doing good service.
It makes a difference to us, because when people do something habitually, I mean, any professional could say, I do the same work every day. It might be different people, but it's the same job.
Right.
Pia and I don't have that sense. We both came from professional careers when we began doing this spiritual work. And I think we can agree that every day is different for us. Every day brings some new energy or some new connection with either humanity or with other beings from other kingdoms and other realms. So I would say our lives are filled with inspiration.
So what were you doing before you started this work?
Well, I was a clinical psychologist. And I tell you, when I walked into my group, my colleagues, and told them that I was hearing voices, we all had a chuckle. But luckily, they had a lot of respect for me and my work, and they supported me. And Cullen and I actually took this work to a university in California and said, here, you need to be able to know that this is the next level of human intervention, how humans are interacting with other realms. You need to be aware of this. And we were so well received that they wrote us up in the Psychology Journal. So it was a very nice transition into letting go of the clinical psychology and moving full time into doing this.
Right. That's amazing.
My training is in anthropology and archaeology. I was trained a long time ago in these fields, and I've studied people, whether ancient or current, all of my adult life. I have been involved in looking at trends, looking at history, looking at problems. I mean, I did that for a very, very long time. And I think actually both of our fields prepared us for what we ended up doing, as we've been doing for decades now. We have a great understanding of people and humanity.
Right. So that leads me to, okay, so it started with voices in your head. Like, how did you meet Larkma? How did that, what is Larkma? How did you meet, and what has led you to where you are today?
Before we answer that wonderful question, I want to preface this story by saying Pia and I had very unusual childhoods. One of us grew up on the East Coast, and one of us grew up on the West Coast. But we were connected to so many different non-human species. We were connected to the angelic kingdom, the David kingdom, the fairy kingdom. We had absolutely magical childhoods, even though we didn't know each other at that point. We were involved with what parents, society would say, oh, yes, you have invisible little friends. You'll grow out of this. Well, guess what? We never grew out of it.
You grew into it.
Exactly.
Right. So to answer your question more fully, we were celebrating Cullen's birthday and had just sat down to a dinner that I had made for him. And we were living high in the mountains with no outside connections to anything except a shortwave radio.
We were living at 10,000 feet in a wonderful mountainous valley. And we had, as Pia said, we had no cell phone reception. We had no landline reception, nothing.
So as we started to eat our meal, the shortwave radio turned itself on automatically. And we kind of looked at each other and said, did you leave the radio on? And we didn't. And so I glanced at the clock just as I was getting up to turn it off and said, look, Cullen, it's exactly the hour and minute of your birth. Well, I turned it off and we went back to our meal. And the next night, the same thing happened. And the next night and the next night, exactly at the same time. We moved the radio all over the house. We actually wound up unplugging the radio completely, and it still turned itself on. So at this point, we stood in front of the radio when it was time for it to turn on and said, okay, we're here. We're ready to communicate with you. Who are you? What do you want? How can we help?
Nice.
And that went on for several weeks. And then we simultaneously began to get what we would call thought forms or telepathic messages. We would get information non-audible. We weren't hearing it outside with our external ears, but we were getting information that was verbatim. One of us would say, this is just what I got. And the other one of us would say, that's exactly what I just heard.
So we asked some questions early on. We said, who are you? And they said, you can't pronounce our name. And we said, give it a try. And they said, we speak in musical and mathematical tones. So the best we can represent it would be Larkma. because they don't speak like we do, LARCMA. They speak very differently. But they introduced themselves and said we could call them that, and they explained that they are a group of 1 of 6 and 6 of 1.
And when we heard that, we asked, what do you mean 1 of 6 and 6 of 1?
And they said it's like a family. We're individual members, but we're working with the same mission, the same purpose. So we work as a unified group, even though we're individual members. So we have been very privileged to get to know these 6 wonderful beings very closely. And we talk to them on a daily basis. They can give us what we call a nudge, where we get the idea they want to talk to us, or we can call on them and they will show up. Instantly. But the thing that's most interesting and unusual about this for us is this group will not come through us unless we are touching and together. And they come through both of us simultaneously.
Interesting.
This progresses. I hope this isn't too long of a story.
No, go.
This progresses to when the mental images or the thought forms continued. Shortly after that, in another week or two, we started speaking out loud, and we would speak what they were transmitting to us exactly the same way we were receiving the telepathic messages. Pia and I would both speak the same words exactly at the same time. So at that point, we started taking furious notes. We were creating a shorthand because they were telling us about space travel, medicine that hadn't been invented yet,
binary number systems,
energy understandings, things that humanity doesn't really understand yet thoroughly. And we couldn't keep up taking notes.
So fast forward, we eventually said, why don't we record this? And we started recording the sessions, and then fast forward more, they asked us, would we be interested in writing books and taking them public to public gatherings. So for the last decades, we have been writing the books that they dictate to us. We edit them to make sure there's flow, but it's their words. And we've been traveling all over the world with live gatherings, bringing them to the world.
It was interesting. First they said, would you speak our wisdom in public? And we looked at each other and went, okay, sure. And we started by inviting close friends to our home and speaking. And then maybe 6 months after that, then they said or asked, would you write books? And we said, sure, we would do that. So that's really how this whole thing began.
Wow. So how, now you guys self-publish. Is that accurate to say?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. We have a group of books that are self-published, but we're also published with Intertraditions Baron Company. So we have there and we have self-publishing. We have 2 venues. We
got it.
We work in both worlds.
And how did you make the choice to go with a publisher? What was that process for you, for certain works and not for others?
We looked at publishers. One of my side experiences years and years ago, I opened a bookstore. Even though I had a professional life going, I opened a bookstore. It was so successful that I ended up owning 5 bookstores at the same time.
Wow.
And so I was really, really learned in the publishing industry because I was involved with selling books for maybe slightly over a decade. And so Pia and I started thinking about what spiritual publishers would we choose? And we looked over probably all of them that were available. And Baron Company and Intertraditions was the one that we chose. So we offered them one of our manuscripts, and they immediately said, yep, let's go with it. And that's how we began.
And the ones that are self-published are because we had a feeling of expediency. We needed to get them in the market sooner. We go with a traditional publisher, as I'm sure you know, Tracee, It can take a year to 2 years to get the work out there. And some of
Exactly.
these things were timely. They needed to be released right away.
Right.
We have since then had several publishers try to pick up our self-published books. We haven't said yes to anybody yet, but we consider it.
Yeah.
Published in Chinese. Some of the books, different ones, was published in Chinese, Italian, Russian, French, German. So we have multiple languages that these books are published in.
Nice. Beautiful. And what tell me about what's happening for you moving forward. What new projects do you have going on?
Well, we won the 2023 gold for our calendar, the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Calendar. We've won several calendar awards with cover, and the newest project we're doing is the 2024 calendar, which is coming out. It's just been released.
These calendars are astrologically designed through the Pleiadian-Earth Energy astrology system. One of our books published by Baron Company, Inner Traditions, is
Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, Charting the Spirals of Consciousness. And this book is the basis for the calendar so that people can look up their energetic makeup, their purpose, where, you know, what makes them who they are. And we expand that into doing personal astrology charts for people as well. That's one of the services we provide. So,
plus, the Oracle card deck is also derived from this astrological system.
Okay.
And this is also a gold winner this year at Cover.
Yes.
I would say we're pretty proud of our relationship with Cover because we have over 10 Cover awards over the years. Plus, we have awards from other competitions that have recognized our work, which has been nice. But you're asking about inspiration. It's very inspiring to have your work well received.
And from the industry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So to put a bow on it, would you like to give us a message from Larkma? I don't know if I said that right, or do a reading with your cards?
Why don't we do both?
Okay. We'll take it. So
do you have a particular question you want to ask? And we will ask a question and see what kind of answer comes up.
Well, this is in the spirit of how, you know, I'm really on a thing about inspiring new creators. The marketplace, there's, you know, if you're a book writer or an author, distribution is hard. If you're a person working on your own, there's all kinds of things. So I want to inspire the people who are working in the industry to continue, and I want to inspire new prospective members to join us and to follow their hearts in creating a product.
Okay, so I'm going to draw a card based on that and ask what is the most important thing that we need to remember to do all of those things, and see what we get. And the one I get is nature regeneration. And it says, spend time in nature to rest, replenish, and regenerate. And I have to say, I would agree with that, because when you're constantly on a project and you don't take this time, your creativity goes downhill. So this is absolutely important for that process.
Being connected to nature is so regenerative. It is so replenishing. And I think all creative people realize that if they're not involved with nature, as Pia said, their creative spirit lacks the energy they need. So I think it's exceedingly important that creative people try to slow down, because all creative people are busy as they can be. It's part of the process. But within that process, if they can spend more time in nature, and that doesn't mean having to go out for a hike in the woods, that could be talking to the plants in your house,
or going to put your feet on the grass,
or doing something that has to do with nature that really brings that beautiful spirit of connectivity, of imagination, because nature has to do with all of those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And do you think your audience would like to see some of the other books that we've done before we introduce you to them? So we we won the series award this year for our trilogy, which is the
Yes.
Wisdom From the Stars trilogy. And the first book in the series is Conversations with Larkma.
Uh-huh. Wonderful.
And
Yeah, it's a really beautiful series.
second one is Remembering Who We Are. This is their guidance on healing the human condition, which I think is a very appropriate thing right now.
Yeah, it
And then
really is.
this is a manual for accelerated evolution and ascension. And it's a step-by-step guide to what you need to do to be sure you're on the path. So those
Right.
three things together, those three books, are really instrumental in helping people stay inspired moment by moment. We have so many people that tell us, you know, I've read these books, but I keep it by my bedside and I just open it up sometimes just to get inspired.
Yeah.
And always get the message I need right then. So
Yeah.
they're really good for that. We also have book of short stories based on Pleiadian teachings, angelic teachings, all kinds of things that come from the other realms, Davic teachings. This is Exit Plan and Other Short Stories, which also won a COVR award.
Yeah.
So these are all COVR award things that we're so proud to be part of this family.
Yes. We're proud to have you.
Thank you. So to bring Larkma forth, if you want a message from the Pleiades directly, we need to let the audience know that when we do sessions like this, where we're introducing Larkma to a group, Cullen and I know every single word that's said. We no longer speak simultaneously because it was a bit like a tennis match. People were doing this and couldn't really keep it up. So Larkma decided just to use my voice, although they won't come through if we're not joined hands and using the brain, both of our minds. But we have to be doing that. So we want people to know that we're present. We know we're conscious channels. We know what's being said.
Yes.
If someone books a private session, a whole different thing happens because Larkma flips a switch, so they tell us, and we're not allowed to be aware of what's being said to the other people to keep it confidential. So there's a difference. It's a difference. So for a few minutes, they'll talk to you. They will ask you, what is your heart song? They mean, what is your name and your own voice, so they can get your energetic signature. And then they'll answer questions that you want to ask for your audience.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, dear one. We are Larkma. Please give us your heart song.
I am Tracee Dunblazier, and I'm the president of the Coalition of Visionary Resources.
And we are familiar with your work, dear one, and we're pleased to be in your presence. Do you have some questions you would like to ask to share with your listeners?
I was hoping just for a message of inspiration for the people in our industry, because we spend a lot of our time being of service to others, and I know a lot of us could use some inspiration to keep doing that work.
We would invite you to listen to the live international calls that we do every other week, because we are always inspiring people through those calls. And that's something that you can have as an ongoing support. Information for that can be found through the website Pia and Cullen have created. But specifically to address your industry and answer the question you have asked about being inspired in the industry, you need to remember that you are moving into a new paradigm. You're not doing things in the same old way. Everything in the old paradigm is built on competition and separation. In the new paradigm, you're doing things that are based on love, trust, joy, compassion, the essential elements of unity that tie you all together as a family who is trying to do work to bring good things into the world. So when you are tired or when you feel uninspired, try to remember that it's the old paradigm that is uninspiring. The new paradigm is quite exciting. It is more unified, more joyful, more full of feeling like you're fulfilling your mission. When you can remember that, the inspiration comes more easily. We also noticed that you drew one of our Pleiadian Wisdom cards and asking the question from the Wisdom card deck. And the card you got was about replenishing and regenerating yourself in nature. We like to remind people that you are part of nature, and you cannot be inspired if you forget that you are part of nature. If you immerse yourself too deeply into technology and separate yourself from the natural world, you will be tired, you will be uninspired, and you will be discouraged. But if you put the technology aside every day for a little while and spend time breathing in the fresh air, standing in the sunshine or even the rain, feeling the wind ruffle your hair, having your feet on the ground or the earth, these things that remind you that you are connected to all that is, clear out the clutter from your mind and help you to move into a place of regeneration, creativity, and inspiration. And this will help you continue to co-create the new paradigm that you are bringing forth through your creative ventures. Does this help?
It does. That was a beautiful message. I thank you so much.
You're very welcome. We will turn this back over to Pia and Cullen now, unless you have another question you would like to ask first.
No, that is beautiful. I appreciate the beautiful answer.
Thank you for including us in your important conversation. We appreciate all that you and your group are doing to make a better world, and we love you, but always.
Thank you. Wonderful. So as you guys come back, be present. There was a question here from Mystical Miss M about audiobooks. Do you have any of your books in audio at this time?
Not currently, but there is a library full of recordings on our website where most of this information that's in the book has been recorded in a live conversation with one of the international live calls. So people who prefer to listen can go in and they can get the recordings and listen there.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sure Mystical Miss M just got that. And thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure to spend a little time with you. It's for probably almost, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. We've emailed back, 100 times and have had a few phone calls, but we've never actually gotten to meet face to face. So it's lovely to see you and to actually speak. And thanks again for your time today.
Thank you, Tracee. It's been a pleasure.
We love sharing about what we do and talking to other people about what they do. And I also want to thank you for what you're doing. Not only the books that you write, but everything you do with the COVR organization is helping humanity with so much information, so much wisdom that people need. So you are to be thanked also.
We need your vision.
Appreciate that. Thank you for that. And so with that, I'm Tracee Dunblazier, the president of the Coalition of Visionary Resources, and we are COVR. And you can join us at covr.org to find out all the information about membership and the Visionary Awards. And again, this is Dr. Pia Orleane and Cullen Baird Smith. And you can get all of their products at www.laarkmaa.com. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Bye-bye.